Come and listen to Grace Unveiled. Oh, mercy, a mercy prevails. Come and listen to Grace Unveiled, warmer the cost in every heart. His mercy prevails.
Hello and welcome, my dear friends, to Grace Unveiled, a place where we talk about real faith, real struggles, and the deep love of God that reaches us all. I'm Apostle John Hammond, and today we're talking about something that touches every one of us, whether you're a believer or still figuring it out, God's grace. You see, I've spent years preaching, praying, and listening, and one question keeps coming up in my heart. Is grace only for those inside the church, or does it reach further? Today, I want us to take a sincere look through Scripture, through real stories, and through our own hearts and ask, could God's grace be bigger than we've ever imagined? What is grace? Let's start with the basics. What do we mean when we say grace? In simple terms, grace is God's kindness that we didn't earn and could never deserve. It's His favor that lifts us when we fall, forgives when we fail, and welcomes us home even when we've wandered far. Think about it like this. Imagine standing in line to buy coffee, and before you reach the counter, someone's already paid for you. You didn't work for it, didn't expect it, but it's yours anyway. That's grace. Unexpected, unpaid for, freely given. Even outside the church, we hear the word grace. She handled it with grace, or he was gracious in defeat. It tells us something about how people act with kindness, patience, and generosity, especially when it's not easy. That's a glimpse of what God's grace is like. But even more powerful, grace in Christianity. Now let's look at how grace works within our Christian faith. The Bible tells us clearly in Ephesians 2:8-9, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith, and this not from yourselves. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." Grace is the reason a man like Paul, who once hunted Christians, became one of the greatest voices of the gospel. It's the reason the prodigal son could return home with nothing and still be met with open arms. That's not just mercy, that's grace. And it doesn't stop at receiving. We're called to extend that same gracetto, forgive when it's hard, to love people through their mess, and to be patient with those who don't yet believe. Because grace doesn't look for perfection, it moves toward brokenness with healing. Is grace exclusive? Now, here's something we've got to talk about. Is grace only for Christians? Some people believe that unless you know Jesus personally, you can't receive the full grace of God. But when I read Matthew 5:45, where Jesus says God causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, I see a God who blesses even when we don't deserve it, regardless of titles or beliefs. We often talk about common grace, the fact that everyone, believer or not, wakes up each morning with breath in their lungs, beauty in the skies, and kindness in unexpected places. That's not a mistake. That's God. So maybe the question isn't who qualifies for grace. Maybe the better question is, how far does God's love go? Stories of unexpected grace. Let me tell you a few stories that have stayed with me. There was an atheist nurse during wartime who risked her life caring for wounded soldiers in both sides. She didn't do it for praise, and she didn't claim religion, but she said something inside her told her every person deserved to be treated with care. That sounds a lot like grace to me. Or take South Africa after apartheid, when Desmond Tutu helped lead truth and reconciliation efforts. Many of the people who came forward weren't Christians, but forgiveness still flowed. Pain met mercy. Justice met restoration. That wasn't politics, that was a grace bigger than religion. Even in everyday life, I've seen people forgive deep hurts, strangers show up at the right moment, and families healed after years of silence. These aren't accidents. They are windows into a God who still moves in grace today. Bridging differences. When we understand that grace isn't boxed in by church walls, we can start seeing people differently. We stop labeling and start listening. We stop judging and start loving. When Christians see God's image in every human being, it makes room for conversation even with those who believe differently. And when non-Christians see true humility in believers, it opens the door for trust. Grace builds bridges, not walls. And the moment we realize that we ourselves didn't earn a drop of it, we stop holding it back from others. Takeaways, closing thoughts. Let's take this with us today. Grace is not just a religious term. It's a living, breathing force that reaches into the darkest places with hope. Christianity teaches us about grace through Jesus, but we're not the gatekeepers of kindness. Every one of us has received grace at some point, and every one of us is called to pass it on. So I want to ask you, where have you seen grace in your life, especially in unexpected places? And who around you needs a taste of that same kindness today? Thank you for spending this time with me on Grace Unveiled. I pray today's message reminded you that God's arms are wider than we think, and His grace is never in short supply. Until next time, walk in love, stay rooted in truth, and never forget there is more than enough grace for all.
Come and listen to Grace Unveiled. Oh, mercy, a mercy prevails. Come and listen to Grace Unveiled, warmer the cost. In every heart, His mercy prevails.